Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Season 3, Episode number 2 of the Unofficial Official Story. I'm Cat, and I'm here recovering from laryngitis. So if my throat is all scratchy, that's why.
Hey guys, I'm Dwayne, and feeling like moving to somewhere that's landlocked.
And I'm Koji, and I have no idea. I'm just here.
And this is where we tell you the official story. We look at paranormal conspiracies, unexplained phenomena, cryptids, and true crime, and by the end, we'll tell you what really, maybe, happened. In this episode, we're asking the question, is there a serial killer going around killing young men in the Midwest and leaving a happy face where they dispose of the bodies?
You just assume that they're killing women, but
Yeah, that was kind of,
yeah.
Your bias is showing. Oops.
My bad. Let's introduce our guest, Jasmine Ellis. Jasmine is a stand-up comedian, entertainment journalist, and podcast host from Arlington, Texas. She tours colleges and clubs nationally and has been featured at over a dozen of the top comedy festivals, including Moon Tower, 10,000 Laughs, Limestone, and Black Girl Giggles. Her debut comedy album, Trash Baby, went number 1 on iTunes and has been featured on the Best Comedy Album by Comedians You Haven't Heard Of playlist on Spotify. Jasmine was honored as a comedian to watch on the Hoo Ha Ha Women in Comedy Forum, and her comedy special, Nobody's Queen, was awarded NPR's Bullseye Comedy Album of the Year and is available to watch now on Amazon Prime and the Dry Bar Comedy app.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How did you get started in comedy?
I went to school for broadcasting and journalism and thought that's what I was going to do, journalism and radio. And then while I was working part-time at a makeup counter, one of my coworkers kind of just heard me having a mental breakdown in the break room. And I was just like, I'm absolutely done with this job and ranting. And he was like, you are so funny when you're upset. Have you ever thought about doing stand-up? And I was like, no, I'm about to jump off a bridge. I'm like, I am going to flip my car on the way home. I hate this job. And he was like, well, I used to do stand-up in New York. And I don't just tell people that. Listen, I do open mics. You should come with me and just hang. And I was like, all right, sure. And God, I can never thank Cody James enough. And this is someone who's just completely moved on from stand-up and doesn't do it anymore. But I just tagged along the one time and under the guise, because one thing you'll learn, oh my God, when you are a new open girl at an open mic, the open girl, an open girl. Oh. That's not what I meant.
The new open micer.
That's what they hope. Yeah.
They hope.
That's my favorite kind of girl.
They hope you are an open girl. When you are a new girl at an open mic, you get so much, a troubling amount of male attention. So I remember people were like, oh, so you're starting to come. And I just didn't know I was ready to start. So I literally lied and said I was doing a story about comedians in Dallas. And then all of these comedians were trying to pitch themselves to be in the story because I was so I went undercover as a journalist.
That made it worse, right?
So much worse. So much worse. And then people were really disappointed that I was just actually telling jokes and not giving them a platform.
Right.
How dare I? And then I just stuck it out. So a couple of years in the Dallas scene, a couple of years in the Austin scene, and now it's crazy. At this point, I have lived in Dallas, Austin, and LA an equal amount of time. So I don't even know where
that's wild.
Yeah, it just went by so fast. So now I don't even know where I'm from anymore.
Which is the best place of those 3 places?
That's a good question.
Los Angeles, by the way.
LA, duh.
Yeah.
Is that what you need to hear?
You're two LA natives here. Come on.
You don't
yeah,
necessarily have to say that.
I can tell by the Lakers jacket. I can't tell you that I don't love it here. Listen. I'm sure it'll be so much more fun with money.
Well, that's everywhere, though.
So
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, this is one thing I tell my son. If you're going to be unhappy, you might as well be rich and unhappy versus poor and unhappy. Because if you're rich and unhappy, you're like, I have a sex addiction. I'm going to go to a retreat for 2 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's if you're going to be poor and single, then I think go for a city, a big city where you can make, but if you're going to be poor and in a situation,
In a family? With
yeah,
kids?
then just, go to Lancaster or wherever you need to go.
And Lancaster's pretty much Arizona at this point. It could be anywhere. Lancaster has an Applebee's.
Yeah,
They've got
just-
a Chili's.
There's a Lancaster, California.
Yeah.
That's so funny. There's a Lancaster, Texas. That's
Is
just
that right?
I
I'm
think
sure
there's also Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's just kind of
one
like
in every
a
state.
a nothing city
They're the
between
same.
Dallas and Denton, Texas, and you're just, what are you doing in Lancaster? I needed gas. Right.
That's actually exactly what you do in Lancaster, California.
Pretty much.
That's exactly what you do. And have you had a video go viral? Probably more than one. Because I feel like there's a bit, and I don't want to attribute it to you wrongly.
I'm going to be so disappointed if it's Michelle Buteau.
I know her. No,
Be like, good for her, not me again.
No, it's I don't know. I see so many clips, but it felt like it was a clip about how easy it is to get guys or something like that. I don't know. Something in that.
You know, it's funny because you never it's the way men interpret the way I write a joke can be so funny.
Right.
So I do have a joke about white men hitting on me. And it was the joke was about, and that one went kind of viral last summer. And it was kind of funny because it went from this upswing of like, most of the comments were black women going, oh my God, yes, they do this. It's so annoying. And like, we relate, look at us black girls getting along. And then the white men were like, actually no white guy would ever hit on her. And it's like, first of all, like it was like the way they try to like tear you down. And it's like, not that I attribute my ability to get a white man to hit on me as like some career skill. Like it's not a good thing about me, but like also white man, that's a big net.
It's a strategy to hit on a woman by being mean to her. So then
that's
you're like,
a neg move. Yeah.
Excuse, I'm not like that. And then they get in your pants. It's absolutely a
that has never worked on me.
Is that how you get a girl?
Some guys who couldn't get girls studied guys who do get girls.
Oh.
And took all the wrong things from it. Just like how some comics think they watch Richard Pryor and they're like, oh, I'll be dirty. And it's like, you missed the whole thing if you think that
negging
was
is never, you have to be like you have to have a specific type of self-esteem because it's like low self-esteem that can be easily influenced. But like, I'm not like negative feedback never works on me. If you're mean to me, I'm like, why are you being mean to me? I hate you. Like, I'll cry, but you're not going to win me over with negative feedback.
And you also have to know how to do it. So like when they studied these guys who were getting girls, they probably had a rapport already. And the negs were like,
teasing, just like light, playful teasing.
Kind of thing. Yeah, and then the guys said, oh, and then they probably took it to the next level.
They're like, you be mean to them.
Yeah,
well, that's the funny thing about every piece of like pickup guy advice is at the end of the day, you have to have charisma and be attractive for any of it to work. Oh, there is no...
Rich, too. Rich would help.
I mean, but not everybody's out... You know lots of broke dudes who get plenty of women.
Absolutely.
But like charisma and character, it's... Oh my...
You just have to be hot, pretty much. If you're hot, you could get any woman.
People,
no matter what.
Men underestimate how horny women are. Like they'll attribute 100%. everything. And it's like, no, we look at you and we decide. You know what I mean? Like we decide within seconds, we're like, would I or wouldn't I?
I did this screenplay on incels, and I interviewed this incel, and he was like, I hit on this girl in high school. It's like, can I see her picture? And it was like, oh, dude, she's like way out of your league.
Yeah.
She's like an A+, and you're like a C at best, maybe. And I was like, you only asked this one girl, and she said no to you, and from that point on, you thought all women hated you. I was like,
and he probably thought she was I know they have all these names.
Yeah, they have all these
names. Stacy or something? I think
I went down this rabbit hole because I recently got like a lot of hate on something. And so I got really, really invested in incel culture because I was like, I was very curious about trying to understand their mind. And I learned all these words like foid, which is short for like femnoid. I'm fucking up their terminology. Please, incels, let me know. Tell me what else you hate about me. And it was. I mean, they really, like you were saying, like they one bad thing happens to them because so many, like it's like men of all calibers, quote unquote, if we're going to treat people like categories, they decide they should only go after women of one particular group. What like, and it's crazy. Like men in their 50s are still looking at women under 25. Like, you know what I mean? Like they all want the same woman. And then when that tiny pool of women rejects them, they decide to disrespect all women of all groups. Why aren't the dudes who get girls adopting incels and fixing them up? Where is your like he's all that moment?
Right.
Men, fix this, man.
But you know what though? I will say this. And being from Brooklyn, like that was a thing. Like we didn't have this terminology, but if you couldn't get girls, you got clowned and people were like, this is what you got to do. Like step your game up. Like no one felt sorry for you. You know, it was like either you're overshooting or you got to know what girl you can get. Like there's a whole understanding. No one felt bad for anyone.
And also aim realistically at someone who's not over too hot. Because I swear, like these guys, like you said, it's always a guy who like is a C+, aiming for an A+, and then he's sad. And it's like, if you aim for another C, you could have a happy
maybe
life.
B-. You could be a B-.
Maybe a B- if you got a good personality.
Right.
And so
I think that ship has sailed because like, once we started giving trophies to everybody, you know what I mean? No one understood.
They're like, why can't I also get a girl for no effort at all?
Well, I mean, that mentality of thinking of women as objects, things to be won. So, if I do X, Y, and Z, I should get a woman. And then when it doesn't work out, they get really mad. And
they forget to connect with the other person. It's like, oh, they're not an object. It's a relationship. Right. There's a dynamic. It's a vibe.
They don't learn how to be friends with girls. Like being friends with girls. You just have to be comfortable being around girls first.
They're people.
I once posted a TikTok about that. I was like, guys, my biggest advice is like have female friends. And all these guys blew up my comments going, why would I do that?
Girl, women you have got to stop speaking to men directly. I see these when I'm like, I love when you do this though because you mean so well. But I get in your comments and I'm like, oh, I don't even know where to start.
Is there a serial killer going around killing young men in the Midwest and leaving a happy face where they dispose of the bodies? Let's hear what Wikipedia has to say about this. The smiley face murder is a theory advanced by retired New York City detectives Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte, as well as Dr. Lee Gilbertson, a criminal justice professor and gang expert at St. Cloud State University. It alleges that a number of young men found dead in bodies of water across Midwestern American states from the late 1990s to the 2010s did not accidentally drown, as concluded by law enforcement agencies, but were victims of a serial killer or killers. The term smiley face became connected to the alleged murders when it was made public to the police that the police had discovered graffiti depicting a smiley face near locations where they think the killer dumped the bodies in at least a dozen of the cases. Gannon wrote a textbook case on this subject titled Case Studies in Drowning Forensics, which I tried to read. It's 456 pages. I was drowning in paper as well.
According to a Newsweek article, Detective Gannon said there were over 681 cases in their database. He says the men were popular, athletic, and good students who they believe were targeted. He also believes the young men were drugged and abducted from bars, held and possibly mentally or physically abused before being killed. What is not generally known about these cases is that the smiley face is just one of 13 symbols that Gannon and Doherty have identified that have been found around the bodies.
Let's look at a case historically cited as one of the potential victims. So here's a report of the case we found on Oxygen True Crime. Link in the show notes. Dakota James was 23 years old when he went missing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On January 25th, 2017, around 11:30 p.m., James was walking back to his apartment after a night out drinking with friends and coworkers, and he never made it home. The last known sighting of the Duquesne University graduate student was caught on a surveillance camera in the downtown area. The footage captured James entering a dark alley, and that was the last time he was seen alive. The following morning, James did not show up for work. His boss informed his family, who filed a missing persons report 72 hours later. James' parents later hired a private investigator who organized a massive citywide search, which led to the discovery of James' body in the Ohio River on March 6, 2017. This is pretty recent. 40 days after he had disappeared. 40 days. The Pittsburgh police theorized that James fell into the river while crossing a bridge near the city center and drowned, which is weird to just fall off a bridge like that. Anyways, they believe his body traveled for almost 10 miles and even went through a dam before its discovery. James' body, however, had almost no visible damage, which was highly suspicious because it had traveled through heavily trafficked river. A smiley face was found spray-painted on an underpass near where James' body was discovered.
This reminds me a lot of the missing 411 cases. Remember we saw, so for those that don't, that was a couple episodes ago, but basically there's this guy, David Pilates, looked at all these cases of missing people in national parks in America.
Right.
And they all disappeared under mysterious circumstances. And it's very similar to this in that, he puts together a bunch of missing people and, they were around bodies of water. Berries, I think, was one of them, right?
Right.
When I was reading this case, or when I was doing more research, I thought a lot about that.
What are some of the theories of who is responsible? We got this list from writer Ali Vander Hayden from Oxygen True Crime. The link is in the show notes. So it could be a serial killer, a group of serial killers, gang initiation, accidental drownings, unconnected foul play.
Please be gang initiation.
Why would you initiate the gang, but then you kill the person
and
who's about
to
to join?
Face. They put a happy face next to it. That's it's a happy face gang.
But the gang initiation, you kill somebody.
Oh,
okay.
But it's the happy face gang.
Yeah.
I want to be part of the happy face gang.
So all of the men who were killed were in their 20s, in college and athletes?
Yeah, they're all bros.
Sounds like it. Yes.
At different colleges, right?
fans.
Different colleges
Yeah.
in the Midwest.
In the
But
Midwest.
they happen in clusters. So like there's a Pittsburgh cluster.
And usually they've been drinking. It's a lot. I mean, the most common story is that they go to a bar. They like, hey, see you guys later. I'll meet you at the dorm or apartment. And then they go and then they just.
Is there any connectivity between the sports? Like, do any of them play the same sport? Were they in the same championship, the same league? Is this like a March Madness type of thing?
That's funny.
Where it's like, are we taking out, I don't know, what are they called? Pointer guards? Who's in charge?
Shoot guards, point guards. Maybe they were just winning the pool.
Who is the quarterback of basketball?
Point guard.
Okay,
Yeah.
So like, is it a bunch of point guards getting killed right before
No,
March
different.
Madness? Okay.
This
Actually,
is very
in
like
fact-
Sweet Valley High.
I'm trying.
Dakota James, this guy was actually a swimmer.
Okay.
He in high school he was like won a lot of swimming contests. So that was kind of weird that he would drown. Also,
But if you're drunk,
Ooh, that's super weird.
maybe, but you would also respect water, right? You know what I mean?
I also heard I believe this one, that like the evidence of the body, like the forensics were not quite in line with a body being in water for 40 days.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely.
So like he had been killed already, then dumped.
Yeah, that's
Possibly,
from the
yeah.
Crime Junkie podcast. They were saying like because this is gross, but like the skin is supposed to like slide off, like it's falling off the bone.
Yeah, like when
right?
you
At a
marinate
certain
something
point,
for a long
exactly.
time.
I was thinking
So
the
he
same
wasn't
thing.
slow cooked enough.
Exactly.
It was possible that he was
the
like
skin was still on him, like it wasn't falling off the bone.
theory, and this isn't like I don't know who would do this, but like theory because they had like everything internally was in line with drowning, right? He could have been like low water drowned, like held down in a tub, right? Then his body was dumped in water. So like, oh, he drowned. You can see like his lungs collapse the way you would from drowning, but his skin didn't marinate. Like if you microwave something, then throw it in a crock pot, I can tell because the skin's not loose off. This is why I don't do true crime because this shit's nasty.
It gets
really
gross.
is, it really is.
I mean, Koji, you might have made a point of not putting that detail into
I'm
this
really-
on purpose, but I brought it in.
I just
I'm really glad I had a veggie bowl earlier today, so I don't have to. The meat implications are a bit much. And I don't know if it's the same guy or not. Oxygen has a whole series. I was able to watch episode 1. I mean, you could really deep dive on this. But if it's the same guy who was featured in episode 1 of the Smiley Face Oxygen show, he also had like strangulation marks around his
I
neck.
heard about this.
And they mentioned nothing of it on the autopsy. And so they're trying to get it reopened as like he was clearly strangled and his fingers had
defensive wounds.
blood clots.
Oh yeah,
The tips of his fingers. So as if
you're like fighting.
he put his finger underneath the rope. And
like trying to get loose.
yeah.
Interesting.
And so the fact that they saw that and overlooked it is
There was also
wild.
another detail, again, not sure if it was this particular person or another similar victim,
Right.
where like the official story is that the guy drowned, but what they found on his body were like larvae from houseflies. So that indicates that his body was actually like inside of a house somewhere, like on land, because this land insect shouldn't be put in larvae. If is submerged in water, it shouldn't be there. Like that doesn't
Absolutely.
add up.
Absolutely.
So these men are probably being killed somewhere else and then dumped.
Yes.
Chances are.
Well,
And-
the question is whether there's one person doing them all. Because, like, I mean, in individual cases, there's like they're not sure if it's accidental or they've been murdered. But the question is, are all of them tied to
these
this
tied?
one killer?
Are all these men white?
Yes.
yeah. And this, I think.
I'm not smiling. Y'all reacted like I smiled.
I mean, I did hear this. This is like just random theory. I don't even remember where I heard it. I think I just watch a lot of true crime, you guys. Don't make me cite this. But serial killers don't generally cross racial
Yeah,
lines.
that's true.
They tend to kill their own. So I guess we could say probably the smiley face killer, if it is a killer, is a white man.
At least one guy was gay.
Okay.
And I read somewhere that a few of them were, but I don't think all of them were. So that
So a few of them were out.
one was literally he left a gay bar in Pittsburgh and walked through an alley and was never seen again.
The Center for Homicide Research, link in the show notes, offers 18 reasons the theory is problematic. Here are a few that we picked out. So one is it's hard to prove that the smiley face was painted around the time of the death, right? The smiley faces do not match each other, so they look different depending on which body. The distances between the discovery of the bodies and the smiley faces vary. No evidence of victim traumas, and my favorite one, which is the homicide drownings, are very rare. I mean, killing people via drowning is actually very challenging.
Which is why they're probably not being killed that way.
Yeah. Well, like it's funny because I do jujitsu and I have a gym. And, like I choke people, we choke all the time. And it's actually really, really difficult to choke somebody to death. I mean, it takes a long time.
Because you basically have to keep choking a person who's non-responsive.
Yes. And most of the people will let them go because in jiu-jitsu, almost everybody gets choked out.
So you choke people, you've choked people out.
I've choked people and I've been
how
choked
long
out.
does it take to choke someone out?
Like, well, if you're doing like a rear naked choke, it could be like 20 seconds.
To
20
sleep.
seconds.
Yeah, just to go sleep. And then they basically fall to the ground.
They fall to the ground.
And it's like most people let go.
And then beyond that, you have to keep
doing it. But the problem is that most people let go.
Long?
Like I don't know how long, but I've never killed anybody yet.
Probably a few minutes.
But it takes a while. But like
it's
good. But the natural reaction when they go limp is to let go. Even if you're trying to kill them because you're like, oh, I guess I killed him. But until you do it, that's why police, LAPD or whoever, or sheriffs, I know that they actually they get choked out once till they black out just to know how it feels.
Right.
Because like you have to see it happen to understand like what, and then you have to do it, and it's really interesting. So it's actually and then drowning is even worse because you have to actually hold them underwater, and it's hard. It's like it's not like it's much easier.
Yeah, people
to shoot
fight
them.
back.
Yeah, it's much easier to shoot. Right, it's much easier to like stab. Drowning is a very
they would have to be incapacitated from some other way to easily be drowned homicidally.
Right, right. Which is, hate to bring up a bummer here, which makes the George Floyd thing super unacceptable.
Oh, yeah, because it's so
it's 8
deliberate.
minutes. 8 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes a very long amount of time. It's not like something that you could just do shortly. Okay.
According to an FBI statement, they found no credible evidence of a serial killer or killer. Over the past several years, this is what they said, law enforcement and the FBI have received information about young, college-age men who were found deceased in rivers in the Midwest. And the FBI has reviewed the information about the victims provided by 2 retired police detectives who have dubbed these incidents the Smiley face murders and interviewed an individual who provided information to the detectives. To date, we have not developed any evidence to support links between these tragic deaths or any evidence substantiating the theory that these deaths are the work of a serial killer or killers. Vast majority of these instances appear to be alcohol-related drownings. The FBI will continue to work with the local police in the affected areas to provide support as requested, said Supervisory Agent Richard J. Kolko in Washington, D.C.
This whole thing, this feels like when you go to a restaurant, say you go to KFC and they're just out of chicken. And you're like,
what?
Yeah. And you're like, how could you be out of chicken? You know what I mean?
That's your whole bag.
And then the guy behind the counter is just like, what do you want from me, bro? You know what I mean? These cops are just taking the easiest
FBI.
way out. What I'm saying in all these different areas, because it's sort of like, I'm not saying they're all connected, but people get drunk every day and they don't drown, especially in a body of water where you have to go to that body of water. So I feel there's a lot of people here just sort of taking the easy way out.
Yeah, and like, unless a bridge is like, tiny, short, like a really tiny little, like 3-foot bridge with like broken planks, you're not going to just fall off the bridge. Like, most bridges are like wide enough for a car. And at that point, like, you can walk down that and they usually have railings.
Although you and I went to UCSB,
railings.
How many people fall off the
They fall off
houses at DP?
the bluffs. That's true. So at UC Santa Barbara, for those who don't know, this college is right on the edge of these bluffs. And then there's a Pacific Ocean. And there's all these house parties on this street that's right on the bluffs. It's called Del Playa.
Right.
And there are a lot of stories of people who get drunk and like just run and like fall off the bluffs and die.
And super intoxicated. That's
super intoxicated.
Usually they're super intoxicated.
Right. But these bluffs
But-
are like, it's not like a structure. It's not like super
Sometimes the
delimited.
bluffs crumble under you.
Yeah, but a lot of times they're on the patio.
And they fall
over.
off a balcony.
Right.
Yeah, so it happens.
That makes sense, though. You have to. They're already there. These people, like,
Yeah.
nowhere
Like, you
near
can't
the
fall
water.
off the Golden Gate Bridge, or like, like if it's a bridge where cars drive, it's too wide.
It's crazy how they're able to dump these bodies, though. Like, it's a bridge where people are driving. No one sees somebody pulled over.
Well, they usually find them up from the bridge, so like their
Like
body,
on the bank?
their body goes up a few miles, but they hypothesize that that's where they fell in.
When was the last one of these?
Was it 2017?
I think
2017.
2017, yeah.
So from 2010 to 2017?
No, early
like-
2000s.
Early 2000s. I think there was even one in like 1999.
There was.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
It's been a while.
So, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
at that time they thought it was Fred Durst, but he got cleared. That's a little bit.
Sorry, you guys
That was
are-
right.
yeah.
Okay, I was like, from Limp Bizkit? Like,
Right.
is there a serial killer also named
just the time. frame.
Robert Durst? No?
Yeah, Robert Durst was a killer too. Yeah.
Robert Durst was a killer. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fred Durst is the lead singer.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
confused.
Um, To be clear, there was a happy face killer, Keith Hunter Jesperson, in Wyoming, sent anonymous letters to the media where he drew smiley faces, but all his victims were women and none were drowned.
So let's ask ChatGPT now. What does ChatGPT think? Who are the happy face murders?
The happy face murders is a term used to describe a series of murders that occurred in the United States in the 1990s. The name comes from the smiley face graffiti found near some of the victims' bodies, which some believe was left by the killer as a signature or symbol. However, unlike the smiley face killers, there is little evidence to suggest that the happy face murders are the work of a single, organized group of killers. Instead, the term is often used to describe unrelated cases where smiley face graffiti was found near the victim's body.
All right, what do you guys think? Is a serial killer in the Midwest killing dudes and leaving happy faces? When we return, we'll put our minds together and figure out what really maybe happened. Now that we've discussed the facts and gone a little bit into our theories, now let's really dive into our theories.
I'm torn, so I will go first. First of all, I'll say this. In terms of solving these things, especially when I heard that one of the gentlemen, maybe more than one, maybe a gay guy, it just gave me this idea. I feel like even if they're not gay, if the perception is that a lot of these guys are gay, I think that's going to make some of the law enforcement less motivated for whatever reason. Just like when Jeffrey Dahmer was killing that Vietnamese boy, I think it was.
Why are you looking at me?
No. I'm just
because we're both Asian.
No. I'm looking at you to confirm that this happened. And when he got away, he ran down the street naked.
The Asian dude.
Clearly hurt, and cops gave him back to Dahmer because they didn't want to get involved with this gay situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think if we're looking at not every single cop or law enforcement person. But you feel like if you're black, they're not going to look as hard. If you're gay, they're not going to look as hard.
Or prostitute victims.
They're not going to look as hard. So before I give you my theory, I will say I'll give you a solution that I think could help. And I'm sorry to be funny. My heart goes out to the families that lost people. If we can say that all these guys identified as young white women, you know what I mean? That I think so many resources will be thrown at this, and we'll finally figure out what happened. Because I'm just appalled at how glib they are about writing it off as.
They have to be pretty though.
Yeah.
Or at least
they're
or at least like people that
they're all kind of pretty.
Yeah.
They're all kind of pretty. Now, secondly, my real theory. It's so tough. I think that because it's happened in different places, I feel like there's a tie-in with someone in law enforcement. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I didn't want to research this because I didn't want to say anything and then the guy have to come and kill me. But I think if you
that'd be great for the show, by the way.
I don't think you're athletic enough.
Oh, no. I'm not saying I'm the type he would kill. I'm saying if I out him, he would have to come kill me to silence me. That's what I'm saying. I'm not putting myself.
I did like the dig though. Nice.
It was solid. No, what I'm saying is that if all the information is just some sort of supercomputer, because I think there's someone in law enforcement, and it could be I don't know if they either work in a medical office, or the coroner's office, or on a cop's side. They work somewhere and they're affecting it. And where they go, it's like the nurse.
A traveling nurse type of thing.
Like the nurse who was killing people. So where this person goes, these things happen. And I think the cops haven't been able to pinpoint the commonality between these murders.
There's something to that because a lot of times, when there is a serial killer, somehow they'll get involved in the investigation, some way, shape, or form. They'll either be helping with finding the bodies.
Oh yeah,
the Golden State Killer.
Golden State Killer. Yep.
And when the one with the rope around the neck, the rope mark, it wasn't listed. And then when his parents were like, "Can we reopen it and get it reclassified as a murder, not a drowning?" The medical examiner was like, "No." And I'm not saying it was the medical examiner. I'm just saying it's some sort of Dexter inside job kind of thing. Even I don't think Dexter killed.
Well, knowing what we know about cops and how even the LAPD, there's a recent story that came out in the last couple months. LAPD has gangs.
Sheriff.
Okay, the sheriff of Los Angeles have gangs. So if there was a cop killer and everybody else knew about it, then they'd probably cover for their guy because that is kind of a problem in law enforcement.
Yeah, and I don't think it's one person. I think it's maybe several.
Okay, so here's mine. Mine's much more realistic than yours.
Right, I know it's going to be crazy. Right. Yeah.
So it's Bigfoot, obviously.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Bigfoot's the one that's responsible for taking the people in the national parks.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah,
I was going to say
Missing
an
4-1.
evil spirit, like
Yeah,
a siren kind of thing.
Yeah, so he gets tired, or they got tired of taking people in the national parks, and they were kind of going through like a midlife crisis of like, like I keep staying in like the forest, national forest. I keep taking people there, he went to therapy or whatever equivalent for a Bigfoot therapist would be. And they're like, you have to diversify. You have to do something else. And so that's what this was.
So is Bigfoot walking along the water? Is he coming out of the water? Or
Both. All, yeah.
Okay.
So it always happens at night, right? When they're leaving the club. So maybe around Halloween sometimes, right? And people are like, oh, that's a really awesome costume.
Right.
But it's really just Bigfoot, right? And he takes these dudes. He's not doing anything sexual because that would be weird, right?
I was
Also,
gonna
there's
say-
no mention of any kind of assaults like that.
Yeah, because he's like, that would be like interspecies, which,
Right.
like,
But
I'm generally against interspecies
But the guys
sex.
who are gay, they fall for it because like this
Oh,
guy's
he's hairy.
This guy's a bear.
Yeah, he's a bear, yeah. Okay. So then he takes him and he does his thing and, and that's what it is. It's Bigfoot. It's clear. I mean, we don't have to hear anybody else.
It's viable.
Yeah,
it's completely viable.
Clearly,
Yeah.
it's just what it is. So
Yeah.
I guess we could hear other people's ideas if you want. Kat.
Okay, mine, I'm actually going to go with,
Bigfoot.
I think it
Oh,
could
sorry.
be a serial killer because I was thinking about Samuel Little, who was probably the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history, who had 93 women nationwide. And if I recall correctly, they were like all across the country.
He was a truck driver?
I think was he a truck driver? I don't recall, but
Okay.
if I remember correctly, he did actually like hide kill kits in different places in different cities.
That's right.
Which is
Oh,
wild.
wow.
So it is very possible for someone to be an interstate serial killer. Not only that, there's another theory unrelated to Sam Little about a potential serial killer, I believe in the Chicago area, who is killing like sex workers with heroin problems.
Oh,
Because
wow.
there was like an overwhelming, like just a spike of the number of deaths of these
Like
women.
ODs or
Like ODs.
Okay.
Yeah. And it would be, if you were a serial killer and you don't want to get caught, it would be smart to choose something that people wouldn't believe. Well, so in like that serial killer's case, they're already dying of heroin overdose. So if you like kill them and then stick them with a thing of heroin so that way like you cover it up, then nobody's going to look. And also they don't care about this person, so they're not going to investigate it, which is super sad. Obviously,
Right.
It's tragic. But when they're like, oh, it's not likely for someone to be homicided via drowning, like that, well then, boom, there's your thing. You cover it up because no one's looking for that. Everybody's just going to automatically make it an accident. And especially if they are in law enforcement, which I like that theory, then they would know exactly what type of deaths aren't going to get further
Or if
investigated.
they were Bigfoot.
Right. Right, exactly.
Let's not jump to
Because
conclusions.
once the coroner rules it an accident, it's basically case closed.
Okay, here's my theory. It's a coroner
Oh.
who is choosing. I'm going to double down. It's a coroner choosing to drown people because he knows that coroners recommend closing those cases.
Right.
Could
he would
the
know.
coroner be Bigfoot?
He could be big. So what is the coroner's heavy waxing regimen?
What is the coroner's motivation?
Oh, just an insatiable urge to kill
Yeah.
Okay.
men.
I love. Well, here's the thing about
It's
that.
a female coroner.
In the right. In the Pittsburgh, the first one in the Oxygen series, it was ruled an accident. But so once it's ruled an accident, they're supposed to give all of the related documents to the family, the pictures, all the evidence and stuff like that. But they didn't give it to the family, and so then the family was like, well, if it's an accident, can we have all of that?
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, we're still investigating.
I know why, though. You want
was
to know
like,
why?
well, you said it was an accident. Is it a crime or an accident?
Do you want to know why?
Why?
There was a giant bite mark in the middle.
Right. Oh, it goes Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It was Bigfoot.
No, but here's the thing. But they
I'm going to stop with the Bigfoot.
no,
I'm sorry.
listen. No, they campaigned for it, right? They got it, and then that's where the rope mark
Oh, there you go. I was super
but
excited.
was Bigfoot's hand.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
around
There you
the
go.
neck.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. I appreciate
Just
that.
wanted to say that.
All right,
Okay.
Jasmine, your
Yes.
turn.
Now, first, I want to start by making the point that, like, obviously, this is true crime. These are like real people. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
definitely.
terrible for them and their families, but the like wannabe Hollywood writer in me likes to pitch. Okay, so if we're gonna make a cinematic story out of this, and also a likely conclusion, here's my thought process. One, it is several different killers. I probably would need more information to connect these parts. So if I'm wrong, but remember, you guys mentioned that some of them were gay, not all, and more of the later cases. I think, like all things that are good, a woman started it and a man copied it and is trying to take credit. So hear me out. I think the first gang of kills were one woman who, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, what is it called?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
The girl from college. And
Yes.
what is that
A
called?
Promising Young Woman.
Yes, that's good.
I think it was because of the situation of them being attractive,
bros, they're
promising
athletic.
bro athletes. I could see it being some situation where one of them was assaulted by one or a friend was assaulted, because the thing of trapping them after being drunk, catching them after a night of drinking, think about it.
It mirrors what guys...
It mirrors what women experience
Right.
all the time, where if
So
you get
true.
too drunk, if you're alone, if you make a mistake, your life's in danger. So we substitute sexual assault with death and murder. It seems vengeful. It seems woman vengeful. It's giving snapped. You know what I mean?
I feel like there would have to be a couple women to bring a guy down, but if they worked as a team, they can do it.
And what if there was like a dark web network of like a woman was like, she was angry, something happened to her friend. She gets on it, she's like, what should I do? And they're like, let me tell you the happy murder recipe. Just like we've passed casserole recipes and cobblers for years, there might be murder recipes going around on like the dark pink web, and women are teaching each other how to do this.
I'm starting to feel uncomfortable.
I know. This is me writing. Let me cook. Let me cook here. This is insane. But then after a couple of these happened, you know, because I'm just curious, like how far apart were they? How, like, you know what I mean? Like, were they within this? I need to know, like, the whole...
It's like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yes, but with a murder recipe.
One couple girls does it, and then, like, one of their younger sisters
Right.
hears that happened, and something happens to her and her friend, and they go do it in
Yes.
another state.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because it really does mirror, like, just those tragic stories you hear over and over again of collegiate girls, and, like, the only difference is
Absolutely.
they're dying instead of being
Absolutely.
assaulted.
Yeah, it's like the girl gets too drunk, the friend group isn't sort of locked in, and they let her leave. And then sometimes bad things happen. And what I like about this, too, it kind of explains why they don't have too many marks on them. Because the girl is not, like, beating them up.
She's not, like,
you know what I
strong
mean?
enough to do a lot of damage.
It also would explain why the smiley faces don't
Yeah,
match
some
up
have
exactly.
horns, some don't. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's just, like, near a place with an older smiley face.
And what if the smiley faces are an indicator of the last text the victim sent to the person he assaulted? That if he thought he was funny, like, sorry if last night was weird, smiley face with horns, and then that's what's next to his body. I was like, did we check the text records against the people? Again, I am very sorry, because I know that these people were killed and they're like real human beings. But the writer in me is thinking this through. Now, again, what happens with the ones who are gay? People just want to copy, and then we get copycatters
Like
who mess it up.
some of these perpetrators, they could have been like righteous killers. Some of them could like just be a woman scorned with a grudge.
Yeah.
Right. And the ones who are gay, you don't know, the woman may not know they're gay. You know, like when she sees them drunk walking down the street, she may not know. Or
Some of the killers could have been gay guys.
right
With the same MO, with the same situation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if we create a link between text messages, like, when does the emoji first come out? We need to tap that. I need to know when emojis become a thing, when texting becomes a thing, and then when the happy first
I think it
killers
started
become...
before.
Well, smiley face started with Forrest Gump, I believe. No,
He fell down while running. But I'm just, again, the cinematographer in me is concocting a whole story.
Well, we before we had like the smiley emojis. Remember, we had the kind where it was like a colon and a parentheses. So that was
Were
in
any of the
AIM
smiley
days.
faces colon parentheses? Did they progress and become more hyper realistic as it went on?
Yeah, because AIM was the...
Yeah, AIM was around in the late 90s.
You know what I like about this is that either if it's a girl or a bunch of girls, they're either stalking them, right? They're either like at the bar, see them leave, you know what I mean? But let's say in a scenario where they're not at the bar, or either way, the guy leaves, he's drunk, she leaves, and it's like she sees the guy and asks him one question, and how he answers this question is if he's gonna live or die.
Ooh, I'm invested in the
Right?
story now.
'Cause it's like-
I made it up. Keep going.
Because this is what happened to her, right? So she or they, catch up to the guy and is like, "Oh man, how you doing tonight?" "I'm fine." He's all drunk. He's like, "Hey, you're an athlete, right?" He says, "Yes." He dies
Ooh,
because it was an athlete that did it to her. You know
I
what I'm
heard the
saying?
doodler was like that. That was a different.
If
killer.
if he says no, then he doesn't fit the mold of like the douchey bro kind of thing.
Okay, so we're at the point in the show where we need to pick the unofficial official story, one that will once and for all answer this question. So, what do you guys think? Which theory do we want to go with?
Well,
I can go first.
Sure.
Jasmine's.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
promising young woman theory. That's my vote.
Wait, did you say Bigfoot? I heard Bigfoot.
You know what? You should have went with Aquaman. Now that I think about it. But
Okay.
Yeah, I like Jasmine's as well. It's cinematic, right?
I'm so ashamed.
We're in the middle of a writer's strike, and this is great that we could, when the strike is over, we're ready, right? You're ready to pitch something, but also it's you can kind of like root for both sides. It's still sad that these people lost their lives, but she's not these one woman or bunch of women. They're not hurting the people that hurt them, but at least you can kind of like your heart goes out to both sides of it that way. So I think it's a better story,
I didn't think I was gonna win today, but I mean,
wait, we haven't confirmed.
We haven't confirmed.
Well, who are you voting for?
That's true. I can vote for. I think you guys' coroner theories are grounded in reality, but also how often are coroners murderers? But then again, maybe they're that good.
Exactly. If anybody would know how to get away, it would be the coroner. They'd be like, yeah, you gotta like stab him like in the side, back of the knee. No one's gonna call, like no one's gonna see it.
It's like who robs jewelry stores the most? Security guards.
Or
you know what I mean?
Really?
Like when you're in, I'm making that up. I don't even know for a fact. It just sounded good though.
Yeah, I believe it.
Who knows the code in the system? You know,
or Bigfoot.
But banks are always
Bigfoot.
inside.
They're still Bigfoot.
Banks are inside jobs.
So like,
oh yeah, white collar crime. That's an inside job.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me feel like it's not a coroner in the sense of like because of who it is getting killed. You know what I mean?
Why would a coroner kill an athlete?
This is an adult who's been in their career for 10 some odd years, I'm assuming. How do they even know college athletes?
Okay, how about this?
Okay.
And I love your theory. And the coroner, maybe it's a female coroner who had a traumatic situation in college.
Oh.
So now she's doing her regular coroner thing, but every now and then she gets some get back.
It's
and
giving
knows how
Dexter,
to,
yeah.
And knows how to.
Ooh,
it
like
is
a
getting Dexter, but
we
it's
just,
a
we
I
just
know.
wrote female Dexter.
We did.
Female coroner.
Yes.
Bigfoot.
Who's also Bigfoot.
You know what's crazy?
He is married to a Bigfoot.
You know what's crazy about that? And I'm ashamed of this. I didn't see that coming.
Okay, but like maybe wait. What if we track the moon cycles? Because what if is becoming a Bigfoot like a werewolf? Like what if she transforms into a Bigfoot on the full moon and needs a kill? So weeks before, she knows she can't stop herself. She stalks her kills and makes sure these guys are assholes. They've done bad things. They're cheaters, assaulters. They did all kind of bad things. They're terrible guys. And she has a terrible gambling addiction, and she needs Notre Dame to win. So she's killing the point guard was the title of XYZ teams to make sure you get insane. This is a coroner, Bigfoot,
So we're saying
werewolf.
all of our theories are right.
Yes.
And she works for the sheriff's department on top of it, so it's an inside job, like Dwayne said.
Look,
That's
it just
really
came
great.
together like a theory cobbler with all the little parts.
It's like a writer's room.
Yeah, really.
A writer's room.
Really
Yeah,
though.
we just combine them all.
Studios, take note. Look at what happens when you have a writer's room and why you should pay writers.
Yeah, if
See?
you don't,
See?
like,
See?
we're gonna greenlight this. This movie could happen. If y'all don't end this strike, this is what could end up in the world.
That'd be great if like this is how the strike ends. Like, wait, we'll come back. We'll
They
come
just start
back.
listening to the podcast to the people who aren't repped, and they're like, "Oh God, we need to get the professionals back."
And that's the official story. We'll take another break, and when we return, we'll have fun pretending to be a serial killer.
Not all serial killers leave signatures like they do in movies, but when they do, they often express an inner motivation for why they do what they do. Imagine we were serial killers. What would be your signature?
God, would I leave a signature? Because I feel like that would be how I get caught. I feel like I listen to way too much true crime to leave a signature. I think I would do something different every single time just to throw them off.
Throw them off, okay.
Like I would do two with one same pattern, and the third one, completely
But
different
they wouldn't
thing.
know it's you, though. Then you could never get credit for it.
That's fine.
Okay.
I don't want credit because I don't want to get caught. If I was a serial killer, I wouldn't want to get caught.
Pretend you are an egotistical serial killer who needs the spotlight. You want to be on people's minds.
Oh my
Not
gosh.
for sake of getting caught, but even highlighting
How good you are.
who you're
You've
killing.
worked so hard. Don't you want to be acknowledged?
It would only be, okay, here's my signature move. I would only kill male comics. White male comics who
Fair
complain
enough.
about cancel culture.
Fair
That
enough.
would be my pattern.
Like, you know what? Like, you could kill, if I can just, not add to your who you're going to kill list.
Oh, God.
White comics who say things like, if I was a Malaysian woman in a wheelchair, then I could get a job, Because it's like, I don't think that's the reason you're not getting a job. So here's who I would kill. It would take
No, it's signature. Not who you're gonna kill.
No, both.
This is taking a turn. It was just supposed to be what your signature would be.
Because it leads to the signature.
Okay.
So I would be super diligent about picking my victims, right? And it wouldn't be like, not white men, just usually men, but it could be anyone, but men who were in any kind of position that they were woefully unqualified to be in, okay? And I would research it. And so any guy, and if they were unqualified but kind of cool and chill, like, hey, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. All right, cool, they live. But if they're unqualified and dicks and entitled, they got to go.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. You think you could cover that yourself?
It's going to take, but here's the thing. And every time I killed one, like sprawled on his body would be, what do you call it? You know, when you have a job and they grade your, you know, like performance reviews, right? So yeah. So my signature would be performance reviews of him and of other people. You know, they'd put it together like, you know, the only people getting murdered are like people who kind of did shitty jobs.
Yeah, but here's how you get caught. They're going to look at the serial number of the papers that you use and the exact chemical composition of the ink in the paper, and they're going to find like your skin oils on like the corner of it.
They'll probably be thankful though.
No, I'm not touching the paper. I'll wear gloves and I'm printing it on their printer. You know what I mean? And so
you can disable all these security cameras. You have to load the printer RAM, make sure they have enough ink. Oh God, now there's nothing but magenta in here. Oh Lord,
you're gonna sneak in all sexy across the laser beams like a '90s action movie.
Well, it might just be one page with links to the performance reviews, but it would.
What if they work from home? What if they you're gonna be like making sure to connect their cell phone to the HP 375 Express? What if I'm always out of ink.
Before you kill them, you have to ask their Wi-Fi password.
It would be people who, like, everyone they work with would be like, ooh. They would all say, oh man, really sorry that happened. But their face wouldn't register any sorrow. You know what I mean? Just the words. I'd be really doing God's work out there. So that's who I'm killing.
You wouldn't get caught because there'd be so many people with the same motivation. They'd be like, who could it be? It could be anyone at this office.
That's true, right? It's like, we all hated him. And then, so, yeah.
Mine is a little bit different. So, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with IMDb because I think it's stupid. A lot of times, but in the beginning of my career, you think, this is what I need to be on. This is like the most important thing.
It's like, anyone can change
Anybody
anything.
can just put anything on there, yeah. And lately, I've had a lot of people putting me on projects that I'm not a part of. So I've been having to delete.
Cool.
I've been having to delete myself from people's projects. So every time I kill someone, I'm gonna put their name on my IMDb.
You want to get caught as killed by?
That's crazy. That's gonna lead right to you, unless you have an alibi each time.
Yeah, I'll have an alibi each time. Plus, I'm Asian. I'll be like, I'm Asian. I don't kill anybody.
They'll be like, you're confusing me with another Asian. You think all Asians look alike?
Exactly. Do we all look alike?
But here's the thing. You have to be okay with a friend of yours going to jail.
That's fine.
Even if you don't get, caught for it or whatever, someone they're going to make some link.
Yeah, I'll be some Asian person. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of Asian people I don't like. So.
Right.
Yeah, they could be. There's like 1 billion people in China. So there you go.
I like that. I just wish it wasn't on your page, but I like the IMDb.
You should make a fake page. Make an AI-generated fake page of another person.
And just like...
Oh, Koji Steven Sakai.
No, like...
you could create like an IMDb page of like a murder movie that doesn't exist.
Oh.
And then you keep casting it as you're killing people. But you do it from like, some like dark web IP address type thing so they can't track you.
You bounce it off several towers. That's what they say in the movie. We can't find him. He's bouncing it off towers, right? And every role is victim.
Yeah.
As victim.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh, and then they can't track it down. They have no idea who it is.
See, IMDb needs to contact us.
The IMDb murderer. That sounds like something Redbox would let happen.
Right.
Like, it sounds like it'd be $1 to rent that.
They would let it happen.
Okay. I've been like overthinking this. At first, I was like, I could run with Cat's idea, but like I would actually leave a mark, and I call myself like the mic drop murderer, and like drop a microphone on their chest, like on the top of their bodies. But then I thought about it and I was like, what would just visually be the most stunning? So I guess you have to think of who you're going to kill when you think about how your signature is going to be. Okay?
I think so, yeah.
So like, let's just say hypothetically, I was like killing men who troll women on the internet.
Okay.
Hypothetically.
Guys who leave comments like, take her swimming on the first date, or women aren't funny. And I would call
What does that mean?
It's like her makeup will come off, like saying that like they're ugly without makeup.
Oh.
I know, it's real bitch assness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I would do is I would like have some edge control and a really tiny comb. And I would like lay the baby hairs of my slain victims.
Ooh.
And then I would like put some like 50 lashes and a set of press-ons. And then they call me They call me the bad bitch killer because I would turn these men that talk shit into bad bitches.
I love it.
And that's what I would do. I would leave them there with edges, nails, and lashes.
I love it. I just feel like everyone's listening may not know what baby hair is.
Or edges.
How white is your listenership?
We don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't like
they're very white. It's a very white listenership.
So
baby hairs are the tiny little hairs. If you've noticed when Black women have hairstyles, sometimes the shorter hairs in the front of their hair will be laid down. There was a phenomenon where white women were referring to them as sticky bangs.
Sticky bangs.
So call me the baby hair killer. The baby hair killer, I think would be
killer.
Yeah.
Very nice. I like that.
Wait, so can I just go back to the swimming thing? I mean, for a dude to take a woman out to go swimming in like the ocean, it just makes your penis small.
No, but she's saying that they're saying the makeup is going to come off.
But also it makes your penis small. So that's unless she goes in first and you don't go in.
Maybe it's a heated pool.
Oh, if it's a heated pool, I guess. But going in the ocean means
I mean, overall, it's a stupid concept because there's waterproof.
I was just thinking about the penis part.
They don't know.
They don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I was just thinking about the penis. You know,
I'm always thinking about
the penis. Yeah.
An advocate for penis rights. Right here.
Thank you, Jasmine, for coming on with us. Please tell us where people can follow you and listen to your podcast.
Of course. I currently am not podcasting, but I'm working on some cool things that will be coming out very soon. So if you enjoyed me today, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Jasmine Ellis Comedy. That's JASMINE. Jasmine Ellis Comedy. I'm also on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. You can watch a new special produced by Don't Tell Comedy. It's my new one called Save the Extroverts. So check that out. And I also have an OFTV special that is OnlyFans TV comedy special. And I'm really excited for you guys to check it out.
Clothed.
Fully clothed OnlyFans. There you go. That's the jingle. And you can watch that. And it's super fun and super funny.
There are almost 3 million podcasts, and we're honored you've chosen ours to listen to. Please check out our website, the Unofficial Official Story.com, for our show notes or to hear our past episodes. Be sure to come back next month where we will answer the question, are chemicals in the water turning people gay?
Obviously.
Duh.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. It's probably Bigfoot, actually. Sorry.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you guys.